Thank you for coming. Today I'm going to start with Max's interests. So Max's interests include AFL football, specifically the team he follows, Hawthorn Football Club. His favourite players include Tom Mitchell and Jared Roughhead. Max really enjoys being outside, playing footy and pretending he's one of his favourite players while playing. Max enjoys building things. He uses the magnetic shapes we have to build towers of different sizes and shapes. He can often do this for a really long time as well. Even if his tower falls over or gets knocked over, he doesn't stress about the situation and is happy to continue and rebuild what he was building. When questioned about what he is building, he's often able to give a really creative answer as well, like a garage or a farmhouse. He doesn't stick to the basic house or anything like that. Max's other interests include being outside. He really likes playing outside with all the other kids. He often chooses to play on the climbing equipment and riding the bikes on the bike track. Some of Max's strengths include being able to use his words clearly to speak to another person by either asking a question himself or being able to clearly respond to a question. He also has really good coordination skills developed from his outside play, including climbing, riding, running, kicking, which all have assisted the development of Max's coordination skills. Max has well-developed fine motor skills. He demonstrates this when eating meals using his fork or his spoon that have been developed through fine motor skill activities such as playing with Lego or craft items or magnets, which is really good. Max is still yet to regularly converse with other children when playing. He's happy to play next to other children or on his own, but he hasn't quite regularly converse and play with other children, which is something he will develop as he gets older. Additionally, Max is starting to understand the concept of sharing with other children while playing, and he's also developing his independence through practicing to serve food into his own bowl, fill up his cup with the water jug, and put away his bag when he arrives, as well as collect his bed bag and comfort items when it's time to go to sleep. Max has a really good temperament. He's a really kind and happy child. He thrives in the child-centred learning environment where he leads his own learning and is supported and guided by the early childhood educators. The Reggio Emilia approach to curriculum, where the environment is considered to be the third educator, is an approach that would really support Max's learning styles. Max still does sometimes require support when he becomes sad or upset, but he knows when to find an educator for comfort, which is really good. Two areas that stand out as an educator for Max is his skills challenges and his strengths. Skills that challenge Max include collaborative play with other children, as Max is often seen playing on his own or just playing next to other children. Learning to share with his peers, as well as improve his independence by completing these tasks on his own, by serving his own lunch in his food bowl. This stands out to me as skills that Max currently struggles with now and will have the opportunity to further develop in the future. These tasks he will eventually become much more successful at. By developing these skills will benefit Max's learning and development in the future, as these skills can be transcended over a wide scale of Max's further development. Max's strengths include he has really clear communication skills by being able to ask and answer questions using words clearly. Other strengths include coordination and his gross motor skills, which he has developed through lots of outdoor play, on climbing frames, riding bikes, running, kicking, and his fine motor skills through playing with Legos, drawing with pencils and markers, eating with his fork or spoon. This stands out as an important area of learning and development for Max as he continues to grow further, and developing these areas. He can use these skills in day-to-day life and in his further learning, growing and development. So two methods of assessment that we have used on Max is a learning story is the first one. A learning story is a record of what an educator has seen a child or a group of children doing in an early learning environment. The learning story can be as short as just a paragraph or it can be as long as a page or more. that focus on a specific incident or snapshot of a child's learning experience. It becomes a learning story when the educator contributes their interpretation of the child's competencies and dispositions towards learning. Learning stories are created to highlight what they can do and not what they cannot do. Encouraging educators to see and respect children as capable learners by including their perspectives in teaching, learning and assessment. So, as using the learning story as an assessment mechanism, by setting up learning experiences that allow Max to engage in a learning relationship and collaborate with other children in play-based learning experiences. Educators are then able to observe and scaffold this learning where they're able to record notes and images for the learning story. This learning story can then be shared with you as his family, so that you are also able to see Max's achievements and development, as well as give your own feedback to us. The other form of assessment we have been using is a portfolio, which we have Max's here for you to have a look at. This allows a bit more of an in-depth understanding to Max's strengths by using this portfolio as a form of purposeful formative assessment, an ongoing process of gathering information to provide feedback and reflection in the learning process. Portfolio might contain learning stories, observations of individual development, as well as photo records, learning stories, records of conversations, reflections and other forms of assessment and documentation that reflect a child's progress. This allows educators to progressively gather observations and information on Max's strengths over time to eventually create a selection of documentation that represents Max's learning and development that can be shared with you as his family, as well as assist other educators in his further development. Using this portfolio is a form of formative assessment, so child portfolios are an effective form of assessment that is developed collaboratively with the children, educators as well as the families. They are used as a tool of assessment, allowing us as educators and you as family to view the child's progressive development and learning over a long period of time. A portfolio is used as a belonging and empowerment tool, like opening the backpack, teaches access to children's funds of knowledge, constructing a positive self-image about learning, and portfolios as literacy artefacts. And the portfolios are used to collect observations and interpretations, noticings, recognising and responding to key learning events in order to write a narrative of inclusion in children's portfolios. These portfolios are constantly revised and discussed with the teaching team, and parents and families. So we always make sure that we link our portfolios and learning stories to the Victorian Early Years Early Learning and Development Framework, which supports that educators assess children in a way that is authentic and responsive to how children can best demonstrate their learning and development. Portfolios are able to be developed specifically with each child kept in mind, and are developed individually and personally for each child and not made in bulk for group. To finish off, I'd just like to discuss some goals for Max's future learning that you can definitely contribute in at home as his first goal is to encourage Max to interact with other children while participating in play-based learning. So we will encourage that here when he is outside playing with other kids, or even if he's just inside doing an activity by his own, including other children in it. But you can also do that while he's out playing with friends at the park, or at home maybe playing with his cousins or brother. Another point, we'd like to begin to introduce the opportunity to develop skills such as problem solving, inquiry, experimentation, researching and investigation. So to begin to develop those skills as he begins to get older. We'd also like to encourage some further independence as he begins to get older and move into kinder and then eventually school. It'd be good for him to have a bit more independence. So do you have any other questions you'd like to add?
No, that was great.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.